Okay. So, we are going to talk about what's called a literal equation. I looked at the definition for it a couple of times, and it just says that it's an equation where variables are written in the literal terms of each other, which makes no sense to use the word inside of it. But what I'm going to describe it as, a linear equation usually has one variable. And then I'm going to skip a little bit of space, and over here on the right, I'm going to write solve. Because you can solve it. This is what we've been doing for a really long time now. We've been solving linear equations. When you get something like x equals 4 and x equals 5, you get a value for x. That's a linear equation. A literal equation has lots of variables. Okay? And I'm going to say that it has 2 plus variables, meaning 2 or more. And you can't really solve them because there's so many variables going on. So we're probably going to rearrange. You need somebody?
Nope. I'm just trying to figure out, is this the front?
Oh, yes.
And there's your desk?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. Sorry to bother you.
No, you're fine.
Did I say rearrange?
It does say rearrange. Now that I walk back here, it says rearrange very carefully.
Oh, I thought the 2 R's were
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know 2 plus. Yeah, that says rearrange, by the way, guys, if you can't repeat that very well. So what we're going to do, and I've set this worksheet up a very specific way on purpose. You're going to solve this regular equation over here, and then you're going to do the same steps over here, but with only letters, or mainly letters. So you're not going to get an actual answer. And there's 2 types of people on this assignment. Some people love it because you don't actually have to do the math. You're not looking for that exact answer in the end. And some people hate it because there's a lot of letters. Most people decide that they hate it because they don't like all the letters. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this off. Does everybody have those first 2 lines? Because I want to move this down a lot. And actually, while I do that in there as well, go full screen. Original thing. I'll just erase it. Okay. So, if we wanted to solve the equation 4x minus 8 equals 12, where would we start? Add the 8, because we want to get x by itself. So we're going to add 8 to both sides. On the left side, that leaves you with just 4x. And on the right side, 12 plus 8 is 20. And then I'm going to leave that one there for a second and hop over to the other one and start it in the same way. Except for instead of an 8, we have a y. We still want to add it to get rid of it because we want for x to be all by itself. So I'm going to add y to both sides, leaving me with 4x on the left. And over here, we just have to leave it as k plus y. We don't know what those 2 are. They're not like terms. So we just have to leave it kind of undone. And then, what are we going to do to get x finally all the way by itself? Divide by 4 on both of them. So that was 20 divided by 4 means I get x equals 5. But over here on the right side, I can't actually divide those by 4 because I don't know what numbers they are. So instead, this is your answer. K plus y over 4. Now, on the left side, it's basically the same thing, but k was 12 and y was 8. So I can plug numbers into k and y and get an answer, but we don't know what those are yet. And all we're trying to do is rearrange it so that we can easily find x. So that we can plug in a value for y and a value for k and be done. We don't have to solve the equation every time we want to do another example. Okay? And it's supposed to be set up so that whatever you do on this one, you end up doing on that one. Because solving for a letter when there's only other letters is kind of weird. Okay? What about this next one? What do you guys think? Where are we going to start? What do you think? Yeah, we're going to add m. There's a negative m on the left side. So I'm going to add it to be over with the other one. And if it helps you, you can put a 1 in front of all of them. If there's no number in front of a variable, you can always put a 1 there. So really, I'm looking at the 6 comes down, these two cancel, and 1m plus 1m is 2m. And then I can divide by 2. And I get m equals 3. Because I got the letter all by itself. I'm going to do the same thing on the second one, but instead of a number, I'm going to have more letters left over, kind of like this one up here. Okay. Same step, I want to add my m, and I get z equals 2m, kind of like we did last time. And then instead of 6 divided by 2, it's just going to be z divided by 2. So when you solve a literal equation, you still have an equation left as your answer, kind of. You just changed it so it's easier to find m later. So that if we do want to find a number for z, we don't have to do all of these steps every single time. If I plug in 6 for z, all I have to do is 6 over 2. And I don't have to do all of this every single time. That's why we have to learn how to do it. Okay. And I'm going to do the last one. Can you guys see if I do it on the board right there? Yeah. Okay. Sometimes it's a little different with like half the class here, but sometimes you can't see over the person in front of you. Ugly fraction, how do we get rid of it? Yes. Ugly fraction words always end up multiplying by the number on the bottom to get rid of them. 4 plus y equals 20 times 5, 100. And then how do I get rid of the 4? Subtract it because it's positive 4, not negative 4. The 4's go away. 100 minus 4 is 96. Done. Then we're going to look back at what we did. Multiplied by 5, subtracted the 4. I'm going to come over here and see how that applies. Now, this is the first one. I guess it's certainly the second one. I took away all of the numbers on this one. Technically, there was still a 2 left on that one. What is on the bottom of this fraction? A. So if we want to get y all by itself, get rid of the fraction, and we're left with b plus y, because the a's cancel, equals ka. You can keep the multiplication if you want. A lot of times you don't, because it's easier to write math without every single multiplication that we need. And then instead of a 4, there's a b getting in the way. So all we do is subtract that b to the other side. Right, and I'm actually just going to circle this as my answer. Now we have y all by itself.
Is that minus b?
Yes. Yeah. I am not the best at writing with these smart pens, especially when it gets really low like that. Yeah, it's Pa minus B, basically. Alright, there's one more we're going to do, and then I'm going to let you guys practice some by yourself. Okay. Normally, what we would do, and what we're going to practice on Thursday, is just starting with these and solving them on their own. Today, I'm helping you out a little bit by showing you what it looks like with numbers, and then you do the same thing. But on Thursday, we're going to practice doing it without anything at all. Okay. Let's see. A little symbol probably is not going to show up over there for me, so I'll just do this. And the last one. And I chose this one to go last because it looks scary. It's not that difficult though. How do I move this 4/5?
Keep it.
Oh, we want to move it. Okay. What's happening between the 4/5 and the y? Perfect. If it was just 4 plus y, what would you do with the 4? Subtract it. We're going to subtract it still. It just looks really funky because it's a fraction. And it's okay to subtract a fraction over there. Because it still gets rid of it. And then I'm going to write out my work a little bit. Mainly because I know I want to see this for over here. We need to do 12 minus 4/5. If you use your calculator, and we just saved onto our Chromebooks, it is 11.2. Which I can only do because that's 4/5 is an actual decimal. It is 0.8. And 12 minus 0.8 is 11.2. What's going to happen over here is we still want y by itself. So to get rid of the b over a, we just subtract that whole thing. The only time that's not okay is if instead of a plus sign, it had multiplication right there. Because then you would want to multiply and divide to get rid of the fraction. And the hardest part about this one is you're literally just writing the negative b over a on the other side with the n. You're not actually really doing anything other than rewriting it on the other side. And a lot of solving literal equations is just moving something to the other side and making it negative. Or if it already was negative, you make it positive. Why would it